Welcome this evening to a special edition of We Can Still Dream Comeback Special. I was very fortunate to have gone to South Caicos in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Just got back just over a week ago to a resort that has just been reopened under the Clearly Cayman collection. We'll dig into that a little bit right now. I wanted to share my personal experience with you. I'll warn you, I'm not a professional photographer. The hubby is not a professional photographer, so I know that the pictures are not going to do it justice, but I hope that it's at least an honest and accurate sharing of my personal experiences. Bear with me for just a moment because, of course, everything was working perfectly fine in practice mode, and now I'm having an issue sharing my screen. I think we're good now.
Yep, there you go.
Sorry?
You're
You
good.
got me?
Yep.
Okay, great. And everybody can hear me okay? I can't see the chat screen anymore. Now I'm in presenter mode. So if you have any issues, please let Carrie know with sound or visuals, and she will interrupt me and let me know what is going on. So as I said, I was fortunate enough to have just returned about a week and a half ago from East Bay Resort and diving with reef divers in South Caicos in the Turks and Caicos Islands. For those of you who are not familiar, the Turks and Caicos do have two kind of different sections, and I'll show you that on a map. One area is Turks, one area, go figure, is Caicos. South Caicos is the last in the southeast area of the Caicos archipelago. Sorry, I haven't been drinking. The economy is mainly supported by fishing and boutique tourism. Right now, there's only a couple of hotels on the island. One is a very large, expensive, fancy millionaire resort. The other one is a small one that a lot of locals go to. And now East Bay. East Bay was an existing property, but it was purchased recently by reef divers. Those of you who are familiar with Little Cayman Beach Resort, Cayman Brook Reef Beach Resort, and Cobalt Coast, these guys have purchased that resort and they've done wonders, and they've established the only diving operation on South Caicos at this time. A lot of fishing, lobster and conch is in abundance in this area. So fishing is the other economy that sustains South Caicos. Back in the heydays, South Caicos was actually quite well known and quite a bustling island, and it was a vital part of the Turks and Caicos economy during the salt industry days. The Turks and Caicos Islands, and we'll get into this in a minute, actually gets less average rainfall per year than a lot of the other Caribbean islands, and South Caicos gets even less rain than a lot of the islands within Turks and Caicos. So a lot of the topography is quite arid. Mateo, who we have with us here, is he was a tremendous guide and taught me a lot during my week there, and as he said, it's either a hurricane or it doesn't rain. So we did have a shower once. That's not 100% true, but if it gives you an idea, typically South Caicos is very fortunate to escape a lot of the rainfall that you will find in the Caribbean islands, even during rainy season. The island has approximately 1,000 residents on it, and due to the climate, low hills, dry bushland, saline wetlands, and salt flats that were part of that salt industry. So for those of you that are familiar with the Caribbean, just to give you an idea here of where in location Turks and Caicos is, very quick and easy flight from Miami. Providenciales, which is the main gateway for the Turks and Caicos, is very well served by multiple airlines in various gateways across the US, as well as airlines from Canada, the UK, and many other countries. Within the Turks and Caicos Islands, you can see here the location of where South Caicos is. Hopefully, I'm not quite sure if my chat screen is hiding that for you or not. I'll move it just in case. So as I said, it's actually divided into two regions. You have Turks and you have Caicos. And here is South Caicos here. There is phenomenal diving all along this edge here and across, for those of you who are familiar with Grand Turk. And the Turks Island Passage actually brings in from the Atlantic the opportunity to see a lot of larger animals, as well as the different marine life that you would typically expect on a Caribbean island. So as I mentioned, Turks and Caicos on average gets less rainfall than a lot of other countries in the Caribbean. You can see here average rainfall per year. Turks and Caicos is a tremendously lot less than a lot of others, even Bonaire, which was actually quite a surprising fact to me. And as I said, South Caicos tends to get less rainfall than a lot of the other islands within the Turks and Caicos. And just to share with you there, average monthly rainfall, average monthly water temps. Around December, January, February, that's when you're going to see the lowest water temps. It can dip down to 78, 79. When we were there, it was 85, 86 degrees. It was balmy. So you can see the temperature range there. As far as topside, they basically have a warm season and a cooler season. And there is about a 15-degree difference between hot season and cooler season. If you're someone that likes to hike a lot and do a lot of activities away from the water, you will find those summer months a little bit warmer. That difference in degrees does make itself known when you're working hard. However, on average, you're not going to get a chilly season topside versus going in the winter. So getting there right now, as I mentioned, the main gateway for Provo is, the main gateway for Turks and Caicos is Providenciales, Provo, airline code PLS. Right now, that's the only way to get to South Caicos is going through Provo. So you would fly to Provo, and then from there, you can take a small commuter plane. There are two island airlines that serve South Caicos from Provo right now. Tickets run between $200 and $300 per person round trip. They allow one free bag at 50 pounds checked. They do allow a little bit overage for about $10 more, and they do accept a second bag for $25. But be aware that they do warn you that it's kind of standby. We did not run into any issues at all when we traveled, and neither did any of the other customers that I spoke to. For groups, charter flights are also available, which will help offset that. But of course, if you are able to pack everything light, then we would recommend that you do so it takes that stress off. And they have 2 to 3 flights at least per day. Now, in a couple of years' time, South Caicos, there has already been construction begun on South Caicos Airport, and they plan to be an international airport within a couple of years. What this means is, fingers crossed or not, depending on your point of view, is there is a good chance that there may be an airlift direct from the States straight into South Caicos in a couple of years' time. So this is the size planes that you're looking at on average. Some may be a little bit bigger. Some are small island hops that only take a handful of passengers. If you're a very nervous traveler, if you're somebody that doesn't like small planes, there is also a ferry that runs certain days of the week. Again, for groups, we can charter that, and the luggage allowance allows you a little bit more. Airline flight time from Provo to South Caicos is about 25 minutes. The ferry is about a 90-minute crossing. I did not experience the ferry. I hear different things from different people. Of course, everybody has a different opinion. People that love the ferry, others that warned me that if the weather is quite choppy, or if you're someone that gets seasick, that 90 minutes can be quite taxing. The flight was absolutely beautiful. The water was so clear that when there's larger marine life, you can actually see them from the plane. And this flight was actually very, very steady throughout. I know a lot of people were nervous on prop jobs, but it was a very, very steady flight. So I think the main reason most people are here is to hear about the diving this evening. So we will get into South Caicos diving. My pictures, as I said, I apologize greatly for, hubby does pretty well, but we are definitely amateurs on our photography and our videos. So these pictures do not do it justice. Also, please understand, and I'll get into this, that they are still mapping the sites out in South Caicos right now. So this is my personal take on the diving. So local dive sites were approximately 10 to 15 minutes boat ride away. I would say on average 10 minutes. They do a couple of longer days, one out to East Caicos and one over to Grand Turk. Both of those were phenomenal. On those days, you're out for a full 3 tanks. There's no coming back, and they do serve you lunch on the boat. But for the most part, the local dive sites are literally only 10 to 15 minutes boat ride away. As I mentioned, my water temperature was 86 degrees. Our average visibility was about 50 to 60 feet. In winter, as I said, it can drop down to as low as 78, 79 degrees, but the trade-off is 100-foot viz. We had 0 currents, flat, calm seas. It was incredible. We have been told that this is typical in the fall. However, when you get to some of the other months, it can get more choppy, so don't necessarily expect it to be flat, calm seas year round. A lot of the diving was walls, both sloping and sheer walls that go on forever. They were absolutely incredible, and they were full of different marine life, fans, corals. The topography was just absolutely incredible. There's a lot of canyons there, underwater caverns, arches, and swim throughs. Not really too many wrecks. The only wreck that we came across was a small plane wreck that we were diving, a Convair CV440. So wreck divers so far isn't too much, but every other type of diving there was just excellent. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest because that's part of my job and that's why you guys trust me. The first couple of days, I will say that I was a little disappointed in the diving. What I had heard about South Caicos was just mind-blowing, phenomenal. And what I found was the topography was beautiful. A lot of the corals were lovely, especially the soft ones, but I found it difficult to find marine, not difficult, but that's unfair, but lacking marine life. I was not the only one that kind of felt like that. There were some other comments made. However, as the week went on, it got better and better and better. Part of what I think my personal experience is that they are literally only just mapping these dive sites now. A lot of our dive guides, they were actually brought over from the Caymans, and they are still establishing dive sites. They are still learning the dive sites, and the dive guides, for a lot of them, it was the first time they dived that site was the same time that they were taking me out. So they haven't learned those directions yet. They haven't learned where the octopus lives or where so-and-so sleeps and the marine behavior. But as the week went on, it got better and better. In one of my photos there, I did share one of the mooring points. They're brand new. Our dive guides were actually telling us stories on putting those mooring points in. And other than a 20-foot radius of where they put those mooring pins in, they hadn't even seen those dive sites till they took us diving. So as the week got better and better, and as you can see, we saw more marine life. I just think it's going to get better and better as the time goes on. Having said that, if somebody wants to go now, you're going to be one of the first to dive these sites, which is really, really quite exciting. I will tell you, because I know some people have brought it up already, there is definitely issues on some dive sites of stony coral tissue loss disease. We did see that in some areas of the dive sites. Reef Divers is working incredibly hard to help in the fight to have these reefs recover. I believe honestly that we were seeing some signs of recovery already. Recovery includes applying antibiotics to the reef, and they meticulously cleaned our dive gear every single day to help combat that and to stop the spread. What I would ask is anybody that travels there, please make sure, and we ask this for everywhere you go, reef safe sunscreen and check your buoyancy, be careful of your fins and keep retractors on your gear, keep everything off the reefs as much as you possibly can. But I would say that this is critical in this area to help in that fight. As I said, soft corals were not affected at all and in abundance. Marine life that we saw included reef shark, huge nurse shark sleeping, turtles, massive stingray, lots of barracuda, eels, shrimp, crabs, you name it. The odd puffer. I saw one of the biggest octopus I've ever seen on my life from one of the wars, but I didn't catch a picture of it. Unfortunately, it was pretty quick. We didn't see eagle rays on most of our dive sites. However, there is a specific site called Eagle Ray Alley where some of the group did see 5 eagle rays together. And I will tell you that when I went snorkeling one afternoon, we saw eagle rays going out and coming back on our snorkel. It was fantastic. I was told that this is the first time it happened, but we did actually have a small pod of dolphin as well playing while we were diving. Again, bear in mind our viz was only about 50-60 feet. Those walls go on forever. There's incredible passages. I just can't imagine the marine life that's out there that we didn't get to see. Late December to early April as well, please bear in mind that humpbacks come through that passage with their calves. So if you don't mind the chillier waters, you'll trade off phenomenal viz, and you'll also have the opportunity to see humpbacks coming through. We have been told that and seen pictures of humpbacks coming close enough that you could sit on your balcony in the morning having your cup of coffee and see the humpbacks and hear them singing while you're diving. On to Reef Divers. For those of you, as I said, that are fans of the Clearly Cayman collection, which is Cobalt Coast, Brock Reef Beach Resort and Little Cayman Beach Resort. I think these guys do a phenomenal job. I love their product. I love each of their properties. And they've now bought, not just established their operation here in the Turks and Caicos, also their 4th location, but they have purchased the resort. So they run the whole thing. And I was very excited to go and see this because I had high expectations for service, good food, all of that, and they really seriously did not disappoint. They have brought their 4 Newtons over for diving, and anyone that has been spoiled by the valet diving, true valet diving, where you seriously do not lift a finger from the moment you get to your room as far as your dive gear to the moment you leave, they have brought that valet diving with them. Now, boats are moored up about 5 minutes away. The property is oceanfront. However, because the beach is so shallow, the current boats can't come up and pick you up at the resort. Right there at the resort. However, they do have large, beautiful, brand new, comfortable vans that you pop in. It literally takes 5 minutes, if that, into town to the harbor to meet the boats. It's very, very simple and quick transfer. Almost all of our dives were about 60 minutes, other than the odd really deep one where they had to limit us to 50. For those of you that are used to the Reef Divers way of doing things, they escorted us for the first half of the dive. And then when somebody hit their half tank, they turned around, brought us back, showed us the boat. And then we spent the rest of the dive up to 60 minutes or deco time or tank time, whichever one governed it, where you and your buddy just went off and got to explore on your own, which was really, really lovely. Again, for those of you that are already familiar with their product, it's about 20 people on the boat. The boats are very well equipped, quite fast, shade, a little top deck to hang out on, And they have heads as well, which I know is very important to a lot of people. Very well taken care of boats. They have fruit on the boat. Our snacks included chips and things like that. And on our 3 tank days, there was sandwiches as well, and dessert. They are very well stocked with rental gear, very new and in fantastic condition, including rental computers, which they insist on using computers for your diving. So if you don't have one, you can rent even a computer. So as I mentioned, Reef Divers actually purchased this hotel. They are the only dive operation on the island and the only one that has been there for many, many years. One thing I will tell you, you can do a lot of reading online about these guys. I dug into this a lot. They are seriously involved in the island, both topside and below, on helping protect the marine life, protecting topside, establishing parks. They really didn't get into this. They didn't brag about it, but I asked an awful lot of questions and I explored as much as I could. And these guys are going to be a tremendously positive impact, I think, just being on the island. So I really, really love this, and I want to support them in any way that I can. And they won't go out there and blast all what they're doing, but if you sit there and you talk to some people, it's really quite amazing what they're doing, and they won't toot their own horn. So I wanted to share that little tidbit with you. Currently, the resort has 60 rooms in operation. They are 4 buildings, each with approximately 30 rooms in each. Right now, about 60 of those are in operation. The others are being rebuilt. And by the time the resort is done, they are going to have approximately 120 working rooms. As I said, they are directly on the ocean front with a beautiful white sand beach. As far as the rooms, they have various room categories. This is the standard entry-level price room. I want you to be aware that it is quite a small room. It's definitely well equipped. It has plenty of space, a mini fridge, microwave, very good working AC, decent bathroom, good size, with everything that you would need. But it's only going to be queen beds. There's not really room for much else. If you're on a budget, if you've got a couple that need the entry-level price, or you don't need a lot of room, the standard rooms are very comfortable and, as I said, well equipped. However, for those of you that have a bit more money in the budget, I personally would recommend a minimum of an oceanfront room. The oceanfront rooms aren't just a phenomenal view. You get a balcony or a patio, depending on what level you are on. And as you can see, it's not just the view. You get a significant amount more space by having an oceanfront room. You're really not going to use that kitchen much at all, but it's nice to have the fridge for a few beers in, and really just the space is what appeals to me for the oceanfront room. Oceanfront rooms right now, there's not a huge amount of them that have 2 beds, but there are a few of them that do have 2 beds rather than 1 queen or king. For those that only have 1 bed, the couch does pull out. And for those of you that really want to spoil yourselves, got a little bit more money in the budget, they do have 1 and 2 bedroom suites. One way to kind of save a little bit of money but have some space, or for families, is a 2 bedroom suite. But this is a 1 bedroom suite. A 2 bedroom would be the same, just go figure, a 2nd bedroom and a bathroom. As you can see, these are absolutely beautiful. This was my room. So these are real photos from when I checked in. Nice spacious bathroom. The oceanfront bathrooms are similar to this. And as you can see, a lot of space going on as well. You've got your full kitchen, then you've got a dining area, and then a couch and sitting area. And then to me, the patio is really, if you're on the ground floor, or the balconies are a very, very nice addition. And I can imagine if there's humpbacks going through, this would definitely be worth the upcharge. So moving on to the food, for those of you again that are used to their product, The food is excellent, and they've stepped it up even a notch with East Bay. They have brought on a fabulous chef. Right now, he is on site working 3 meals a day, I think pretty much 7 days a week. He is training other people as well, but the food was fabulous. It was served buffet style. With a rotating theme every night. There was always at least a couple of vegetarian options, some fish, and two or three meats, as well as lots of veggies, salads, fresh fruits. They also have an a la carte menu for lunch and dinner, where the kitchen stays open a little bit later. That is not included in your typical dive package that comes with meals. But if you don't like what's on the buffet that night, or you want to spoil yourself with a little bit something, take a look at the menus. The prices are quite reasonable, and that a la carte menu was just fabulous. The bar was very well stocked as well. I should have took a picture of the wine collection also, but the bar is very well stocked with a variety of local drinks and also some very, very nice top shelf options. Various cocktails can be made here, and a super wine selection as well. They do include a drink package option on a lot of the dive packages. These are more local drinks, rum, wine, beer, which were all very, very good. And it's an excellent deal if you're okay with local brands and local house wines and beers. If you want to step it up a notch, then you will be paying extra for those. The pool has a small swim up bar. Again, remember, they're only just starting to move in here. So when I was here, this opened up in the afternoons and in the evenings until about sunset. And, you know, when it was going with music and a bartender, I was actually doing my job and experiencing it firsthand rather than taking pictures. So this one is with it shut down, but it becomes quite a great place to gather after diving or going for a tour in the afternoons and evenings. And again, a good selection of drinks as well. Tennis and basketball courts are on site. I didn't capture a picture of it, but there is also a gym and spa on site. Unfortunately, I did not get to experience the spa myself, but I was told the massages were awesome. Very nice pool. Eventually down the road, there will be at least one more pool added to this to accommodate the extra rooms. This to me was the hub. It's got the restaurant in it, the indoor bar, reception. Upstairs is your gym. As I mentioned, the beach is absolutely beautiful, soft white powder sand. I would grab my coffee in the morning and go and have a cup of coffee after I finish breakfast before I hit the dive boat and just enjoy the view. They do have kayaks that you can help yourself to on the beach. And also they plan to have a full array of water sports down the road. During the fall and summer months, or sorry, really more summer going into early fall, they do have some sargassum. They do a really good job actually of keeping the sargassum clear. This was the absolute worst year that they had. So you can see some sargassum in my picture, and this was kind of late in the season, I'm told as well. But during other months, you won't be experiencing that sargassum. There is no real snorkeling on site. Going out here, there really wasn't much to see. It was incredibly shallow. I did try. However, there is incredibly excellent snorkeling, amazing snorkeling away from the resort. So South Caicos is a very, very laid back island. You're not going to find shops. You're not going to find casinos and man-made activities, nightlife, nightclubs, things like that. However, if you're an outdoor person or looking for laid back, this is the place to be. There are a lot of opportunities for hiking, sightseeing, and other outdoor activities. And as I said, the resort is planning to offer a lot more of those as time goes on. The snorkeling, as I mentioned, was excellent. Diving, there's phenomenal sights, there's phenomenal amount of marine life in as shallow as 10-20 feet, and in the snorkeling sites it's as shallow as 5 feet. As you can see here, this is a snorkeling site I was on. This is a screen grab from my GoPro, and you can see how shallow the reefs are, and they were absolutely teeming with life. My pictures do not do this justice whatsoever. But as I said, these were screen grabbing, unfortunately, from my GoPro. Wild donkeys and horses roam the island. This is in the morning in the beach, greeting me with my cup of coffee directly outside the resort, which is super cool. A lot of other little island tours and things like that as well. Other little uninhabited islands with absolutely beautiful beaches. Getting into nature and just exploring and going off and, you know, just getting away from it all. This is a little island where the rock iguana that's endangered were gathered from around the various islands in the Turks and Caicos and brought to help save them onto an uninhabited island. These guys once upon a time were fed by people. So when you actually pull up to the island, they actually run up to you and greet you like little puppy dogs and wait for you to feed them. You are not allowed to feed them anymore because the Turks and Caicos is trying very hard to get them to go back to their natural way of living. However, right now their behavior is still to run up and greet you, which is really kind of cool. As I mentioned, some fantastic kayaking opportunities, a lot of mangroves in the area. With mangroves come marine nurseries and a lot of other life. So the kayaking opportunities around South Caicos are just beautiful. A lot of shallow sandbars, things like that. The resort does plan down the road where you can have the opportunity to possibly in the afternoons, as well as some different set island tours, which these are photos from what I took. You will be able to hire a boat such as this and take off and kind of for 3 or 4 hours and name what you want to do, pull into an island, kayak for a bit, go on a sandbar with a cooler of beer and just chill out and really soak up the beauty of South and Caicos. South and Caicos already has phenomenal fishing, bone fishing, flat fishing, tarpon fishing. There wasn't anybody on the island when I was there, and it was all catch and release. That will be an opportunity for people as time goes on as well. One thing I do want to be clear when I say eventually there'll be this, eventually there'll be that. The resorts, you know, have a lot of grand plans. Please know that this is a complete and finished working resort already. They have a lot they're going to add to it. They've got some big dreams. I think this is going to be an absolutely phenomenal upscale property down the road, but it is already, if you're someone that likes Little Cayman, Brock Reef, take it a bit bigger, step up a notch on the services and the amenities and the options. And I think it's just a fabulous win even right now. I'm just sharing what some of those plans are because it's just going to get better and better and better in the future. But I'm already ready to return this February, go get me some subpar pictures of those humpbacks myself. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Mateo. Mateo is a dive guide and also island guide on South Caicos. And Mateo has had an absolutely unique experience the last year and a half. He is the guy that has been spending the time during lockdown when the rest of us were locked down, literally only being able to dream. He spent the time exploring these waters and going out and establishing and picking dive sites for us, naming them, mapping them, and he's still doing so. So I thought that was an incredibly unique experience. Very rarely, as divers, when we go around the world, those dive sites have been there forever. To hear from somebody who is firsthand creating these sites essentially for us, I thought was a really incredible story, and I wanted to share that with you. So without further ado, I would like you to meet Mateo.
Hello, everyone. How are you? So as Cheryl said, I had the lucky during the 2020 to explore the area. As all of you know, most of the resort closed around April or end of March. So East Bay also did it. I had the opportunity in that moment to explore the area just to know what was actually going on down there. In that moment, Reef Divers was in talkings with the previous owner, so it was important to know what was the actual potential of the place. So I would like to share my screen with you to show you a quick map and also a couple of videos and photos about the exploration. So this is the map of TCI, Turks and Caicos. As Cheryl showed you, here we are at South Caicos. The resort is actually located in this bay. It's called East Bay. When I arrived to the resort in 2019, we used to dive just East Bay and Long Key. This area, it has very good marine life, especially in winter time. A lot of spotted eagle rays, like squads of 7, 15 spotted eagle rays is something that is not unusual. Actually, sometimes you can find squads of 30 plus spotted eagle rays swimming along this area. Green turtles, hawksbill turtles, and reef sharks are also very often over here. So as the resort closed in the 2020, it was a great opportunity to start to explore. So I was lucky to stay at the resort by myself with a couple of scooters, equipment, a compressor, and a Zodiac to start to cover all this area. So we cover all the way from East Caicos, that is this island over here. Nobody lives in East Caicos, is the third largest island in Turks and Caicos. And the diving over there is amazing. So we cover this area of East Caicos all the way down to the south. We cover all the area of High Point of South Caicos, all the way to Hamburg Key. So that was something around 40 miles of underwater exploration. We decided to do it in 2 different sections. As I was the only diver at the island in that moment, I asked and I invited Clarence and Heidi from the School for Field Studies to join me in this exploration, and they were very, very happy to do it and support this. So we decided to use scooters. With the scooters, we cover something around 1.5 kilometers per dive. The dives were around 60 to 80 minutes, no going deeper than 100 feet. The first section was just to cover the largest area as possible. So we used to go with a small group of divers, just 2 or 3 divers as much, with a Zodiac on top of us, following our buoy. So underwater, each of us used to have a scooter. I used to have a buoy, and the boat was going beside to the buoy. Once we found any interesting spot, any kind of good formation, we used to send a second buoy with a different shape and a different color, just to let the captain know that he should mark that place. So he marked that spot in the GPS, he named it with any visual reference at land, and we used to do the same underwater. We used to take a note in our slates about something relative of that spot. Let's say a large cover or a cave or very good marine life or something like that. So we cover all the area from east to Hamburg Key. And then in the second part of the exploration, we come back to these places that we previously marked to do an in-depth exploration of them. So the scooter diving is something very, very fun and easy to do. Sometimes, of course, the scooter will get out of battery. So what we used to do is just to tie the scooter to a buoy, inflate it, send it up to the surface. The captain will receive that scooter, switch batteries, connect it again to the buoy, deflate it, and we will start to take it down. It was very fun. I'm very glad to have that experience, to share it with the amazing group of the School for Field Studies, and now super happy to have all these mooring lines. We used to have something around 8 dive sites, most of them along East Bay and Long Key. right now, in this moment, we have 30 dive sites from East Caicos to Ambergris, and hopefully by the end of this week or maybe next week, we will have 37 dive sites just in this part of the archipelago. We are also crossing to dive to Grand Turk, and over there they have been working in their dive sites for a long time. So over there they also have a large number of dive sites. About the places in itself, or about what you can find over here, I will start to share with you a couple of videos. So we are covering a large area, what allowed us to provide and to offering you the best of each island. Our idea and what we are doing now is giving the best of East Caicos, the best of South Caicos, the best of Ambergris, and the best of Grand Turk. Not other operation in the country is doing that, and we are the only dive operation in South Caicos, the only dive operation diving east and diving Ambergris. So we usually ask to our customers what they want to see. There is a lot of diversity in the area. So in East Caicos, we will find very big formations. There is a reef that is running for a couple of miles, and the formations can grow up to a building of 3 or 4 floors. No, it's really, really impressive. So that area is really beautiful for coral reef formations. Then in the high point area of South Caicos, we have really good swim-throughs, caves, tunnels, and that kind of diving. At East Bay and Long Key, we have really good wall diving. The wall at this area is something around 60 to 70 feet, and the marine life is really, really good over there. Especially in winter time, it is magical. Then over here in Ambergris is a little bit of mix of marine life and also nice formations, kind of spurs and grooves formations. So as we are covering a large area, that allowed us to make everyone happy, you know, especially with big and large groups, we can offer very different things, but all of them are really, really nice. Grand Turk, it has also really good diving. The wall in Grand Turk is shallower. It could be something around from 30 to 50 feet with nice reef formations too. So just to show you a little bit of what we are talking about, at East Caicos, as we say, we have these large reef formations. We call that area over there East Caicos Spurs and Groove. In East Caicos at this moment, we have 3 dive sites, but the reef in itself is running for a couple of miles. These formations are kind of fingers that are running perpendicular to the wall. The amount of coral formations over there is amazing. This video was, we did it during the exploration. No, this guy over here is Clarence. He's one of the directors of the School for Field Studies. So this exploration also works very well to do a little bit of research about bleaching, stony coral tissue loss disease, and lionfish. That are the 3 main things that the School for Field Study is working with. So in these formations at East Caicos are going up to 30 foot is the top of the spurs, and the groups will goes down around 70 foot. No? So you will have some fingers bigger than others, but more or less that is the average. In this video you can see it better. This kind of a formation will be running for a couple of miles, so you can just go and go and go. and the reef is just getting better and better. We decide to put the pins in the area that we thought that is the best one for recreational diving, just trying to be inside of the limits of depths, and of course we don't want that people get, how to say, the chance to go that deep in these areas. There is some formations that are really deep, that are going below 140, 150, 160, that you can see it from top. That is really nice, but it is not the purpose of the diving that we are doing in this company right now. That's a video for later. So that is more or less is Caicos. Over here we have a photo just to show you. This is one of the smallest fingers that we have over there. In comparison with the diver, you can see that they are tall and large formations. About the stony coral tissue loss disease, this is the area that is more untouched from divers, from any kind of boats. Is almost pristine, and there is also a very low quantity of coral that have been affected by the disease. This area is amazing. Then we have the high point area, that is more kind of swim-throughs and caverns and caves. I'm a cave diver, so I love this kind of formations. In this area, the dives will be something around 90 foot max, and the top of the formations are going around 40. We have many different kind of covers and caves with many different sizes that everyone can dive it. Some of them are more narrow and dark, and some of them will be very wide with a lot of light and comfortable for everyone. This area all along East Caicos and High Point is a beautiful area also to dive in winter time. Just to be here diving these swim-throughs, hearing the whales singing is a magical sensation. That's for later too. So this is one of the biggest swim-throughs that we have. This is a tunnel that starts at 40 foot and will goes down to 75. It's very wide. It's also tall, so we can go inside of this formation with large groups. It is not necessary to use lights. In this video, we use a little bit of lights just in order to have a little more color for the video. We did this video during the exploration to just to show to reef divers what is actually what we have underwater. Then one of the, I will say, largest caves that we have, we call it Dreamgate. It is actually a very interesting area because it is a cavern that will becomes a cave for a few minutes, and then you will get again the cavern and then the drop off in itself. This video is a little long, so I will go a little forward. So in this area, as you can see, it's actually a cave, that is possible for recreational diving, because at this moment we are something around 60 foot. The entrance of the swim train itself is around 40, and you will get out at 90 foot. We call this one Dreamgate because once you are getting out, you will have this amazing view of the turquoise water coming inside of this beautiful, beautiful cave. Then apart from this is the same cave or the same swim through from a different perspective. As you can see, it starts to get very, very, very dark. And we are doing this dive on the other way around. Actually, when I found this dive site, I found the deepest area first. That is the big opening, the big gate. So we explored it that way, and then we found the shallow exit up there. This, for people that like swim throughs, is an amazing place. Then we have more kind of open cracks or canyons, in a way to say it. Like this one, for example, we call it the Catacombs. The depth is like around 70 feet. You have a crack along at the wall that it runs for a few feet into the rock in itself. So this dive is beautiful. You are just diving with these huge walls beside you full of plate coral. Is a nice experience to do. So this area over here is for swim throughs, tunnels, caves. Then if we goes down to East Bay in itself and to Long Key, is an area for good marine life. Stingrays is something very common over here. They are very, very large. Is the same stingray that you are used to see all along the Caribbean, Southern stingray, but over here they get to super large sizes. You can do a comparison over here with the diver, and they are super calm. You know, I can imagine that once you get that size, you are not afraid of nothing. So these guys makes the dives really, really fun. You will find this something very, very common. Then, of course, everyone likes race, but one of the best kind of race that we prefer are the spotted eagle race. The spotted eagle race in South Caicos is a big thing, especially in winter time. We have shallow places like Eagle Alley or Dove Key with 20 foot of water, where we have a large amount of eagle race. The Caicos Bank has a lot of conch shells. That is the main food of this species of spotted eagle race. So they like to be close to the banks, no? And these places, as Dove Key, Eagle Alley, are right in the middle of the channels that the eagle rays are using. And also we have big groups going along the wall. Like this one, this is a beautiful dive site that is called the Grotto. This was one of my very first videos over here in South Caicos, and one of the very first squats that I saw. That was a beautiful experience. And then you just get used to this. In winter time, this is something often that you can see squats and groups up to 30 plus, that you start to count them, and then you just lose the number. This is a nice video that I would like to share with you in one of our snorkel areas. This is like 15 feet of water. Spotted eagle rays, well, sometimes they can get very close to you. They're curious animals. Of course, we always brief the people to don't chase them and just to allow them to decide what to do. Over here, if we stay quiet, if we don't bother them, they will get close to us. This one was having fun over there and trying to remove a remora that she has attached. She tried a couple of times, she couldn't do it. So now is her last try. That was an amazing experience. That also happened during the COVID time with the resort closed. We went there with the staff of the School for Field, and we got that gift over there. The most common kind of sharks that we have over here are reef sharks and Nor sharks. Sometimes it is also possible to find some hammerheads. There is 2 hammerheads along a long key that are called the twins. They like to be always around. And tigers are also often to see, especially in the banks, not during the diving. They like to go to these shallow areas as mangroves and sandbanks. And I would like to share this video also during a snorkeling with the school for field staff. We went to the same place, Dove Key, 2 spotted eagle rays, and then we have this massive hammerhead coming out to the surface to check us. He came like maybe 3 or 4 times, very, very curious about us and what was going on. It was a beautiful, beautiful snorkel. The most common kind of turtle that we have in this area are the hawksbill turtles. They are very friendly, as all of you know. We also have some green turtles. They are more kind of pelagic animals, or animals that like to be in the big blue. So usually they are a little more skittish because tigers like to eat them. So often they will swim away from the divers, but the hawksbill is a beautiful turtle to share with. You know, and over here they are very, very calm. Before, we used to run an operation moving in small groups of maybe 4 people, 2 people. So marine life was very comfortable with that. We realized that now with the largest groups that we are working with, marine life need to get used to. So we are in that process. So far, we are getting better interactions with marine life. Then it is very, how to say, there is a couple of places, super shallow places that you can snorkel or you can dive. They are very versatile places. These shallow dive sites are amazing for photography and for people that like colors and marine life. I know that many divers don't like to dive that shallow, but over here in South Caicos, shallow as you go, more marine life you will see. Well, over here, let me share a little bit more of a spotted eagle race. This place is also like 20 feet of water. And in winter time, when you go to dive these kind of places, see 10 to 15 spotted eagle rays is something more or less normal in each dive. Of course, we cannot promise anything. It's the ocean and it's nature, but it's very, very often to see large numbers of spotted eagle rays over here. Then the whales, that is something magic that is happening over here. Let me share with you the map again. In winter time, I would say around December, start a migration of humpback whales from the North Atlantic. When the water gets very cold up there, they start to go down, trying to reach a sandbank that is called a silverbank. So silverbank is actually 150 miles in front of East Bay Resort. So these whales, or most of them, will take this channel over here called the Turk channel or the Pirate channel in order to go to Silverbank. They are going to Silverbank to meet and to deliver the babies over there. Some of them will deliver the babies on the way. So when we are diving or we are going to dive to East Caicos, it's very often to see the whales on this area. The whale season is from December to April. I would say that you will have more chance to see them from January to April. The last group of whales that I saw it in this area right here, the 25, 27 of April. So it was still very late on the season, but there were still whales around. So usually they will take this channel. The ones that are coming with the calves, they need to rest, no? So they will stop in the sandbanks, and you can be in super shallow areas of maybe 30 feet of water with a couple of humpback whales. That is a beautiful, beautiful experience. So they will come to the Caicos bank, they will rest over there, then they will cross to the Turks bank, they will rest in that area, and then they will continue their way to Silver Bank. It's very often to see them from the resort in itself. You can be at the pool, you can be at the beach and see the whales just passing right in front of the resort, jumping, playing, and in most of our boat rides in winter, especially in the farther rides, either to East or to High Point or to Hamburg Ski or to Grand Turk, you will have a lot of chance, a lot of probability to find them. During most of the dives, you will hear them. No, the singers are usually, are actually just males. They do groups from 4 to 6 males that they will go down to 60 foot approx, and they will start to sing. You will be able to hear them from 15 miles away. So any singer that are in this area, you will hear it during your dive. That is a beautiful sensation. When they are very, very close to you, you will actually feel the vibration in your chest. So just let me share with you a video that we did. This was this year by Lonky. Some of them are very curious. Of course, when they get that close to the boat, we must leave the engine in neutral. We cannot chase them, but it's not necessary to do it. Actually, some of them will get very close to the boat. And then we also have this photo that is from Jason that he shared with us. That was also by the end of Lonky, the mother and the calf. They were very curious. By regulations, we cannot chase the animals, but if the animals get close to you, well, you cannot do anything. Just stay in that place, in that position, and get fun and a good interaction with the animals. Boats and snorkelers should stay something around 50 meters away from the whales. That means that if we find a whale, we cannot go straight beside to the whale and jump into the water with them. That will create a lot of stress in them, and it's not safe for them and of course for us. But if we are in the water and they get close to you, like happened in this photo, I was with Jason in the water, and this calf was super curious, and she came extremely close to us. And of course, the mother didn't have any other option than just follow the calf and enjoy the moment. So, well, this is more or less a little bit of what we are offering over here in East Bay Resort at this moment. As Cheryl say, we are just starting. We are doing a massive operation in a very short term. So right now we are just focused in run all the groups that have been waiting for diving in Cayman Islands. But for winter time and for the future, we have big plans, and we are hoping to offer many different kind of activities, not just diving. This place has an amazing potential to do many different kind of activities, as it could be great snorkel trips, whale washing, kayaking. There is charters to do in the banks and to explore many different kind of islands and keys. This country has 47 different islands, just 7 of them have people. Then you have another 40 islands and keys with nobody living on them, with flamingos, with iguanas, with cactuses, and with a lot of history. This place has a beautiful history that we will be more than happy to share with you, doing all these kind of different tours and offering you many different kind of experiences that maybe you will not be able to experience in another place. This country is magical. I'm not original from here, but I fall in love of Turks and Caicos. I don't know if maybe you have any question, or you will like me to talk about something in a specific. I will not share my screen anymore, like that you can see me, and maybe we can just talk about your questions. No?
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mateo. That was lovely. I'm so glad you had some great video there. And as I said, I love to hear all your different stories about how you found those different dive sites, decided, how to establish them, things like that. I can't imagine going into a cave having no idea if there even is an exit, and all the rest of it. So guys, we are going to open this up to questions. Does anybody have any questions for either of us? Matthew Ramos, and we can, if you wanted to put your hand up, if you guys know how to use Zoom, you can put your hand up and we can unmute the mics and you guys can chat firsthand. Let me see here. Matthew Ramos, we're trying to unmute you. If there's anybody else has any comments or questions, please use the hand raising or put something in the comment box and we'll try to unmute you. Matthew, I'm trying to unmute you. I think you might have to say, okay, you're in. There you go. Okay. You're on. Hi.
Oh, no, I have a new diver that dives with me, and she's fairly concerned about how many sites would be shallow. She doesn't want to ruin the dives for everyone else, so she has some concerns like, well, will I have a good time with others, while she's there?
Yes. Well, in most of the dive sites, we have a shallow formation, a mini wall formation, as we call it, that is going usually from 30 to 35 foot to around 55 to 60. Then we will have a kind of a sunny slope with a coral heads spread around the area, and then the deeper formation beside to the edge of the wall that will be something around 60 to 70. So in most of the dive sites, we have the option to do it shallow or to do it deep. That is something that makes our life way easier.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Alex, if you want to jump on, I know you've got some stories, and Mateo would probably like to hear from you. Alex, if you're able to unmute your, there you go, you're on, Alex. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yep, sure can.
Okay, well, just a little bit of background. Back before the School for Field Studies was there, it used to be the Admiral's Arms Hotel. And in 1977, I was the dive operations manager there. Well, and I dove pretty extensively, not as extensive as you, Mateo. I never got to use Caicos, but it was unquestionably the only other place in the Caribbean I've ever dived that was better was perhaps the Exumas in the early 70s. It was absolutely magical, and I'm looking forward to getting back there. Just a couple questions. There used to be, just seaward of Dove Key, there used to be an enormous ship's anchor, probably from the 18th.
Yes.
Is it still there?
Yes, they are.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Also,
those like 2 large anchors right beside the channel. Yes. Okay.
The other thing, you were talking about sharks before, and I mentioned to Cheryl in a previous communication, we used to see sleeping blacktips in the grotto. In fact, I sent a photo and reported it to the late Dr. Jeannie Clark. And at that time, it was the first sighting in the Caribbean of that species. We also used to periodically see bulls I never saw a hammerhead or a tiger there, but I assume with the depletion in sharks that those are pretty uncommon sightings.
About the sleeping black tips, I didn't see them yet around here. I hear from different people that they are around. For sure, reef sharks, there is a lot. Nur sharks also. I didn't have the luck to see this sleeping black tips. I also know, and I hear, when I start with all this exploration, I was working with the local fishermen, that nobody knows the area better than them. Mm-hmm. And they have all these kind of stories about the bull sharks and hammerheads and the tigers and black tips, and they are the ones that told me that there is black tips on the area, and there is certain areas where there is congregations of these kind of sharks. We didn't found a place where we can guarantee that we will show you the black tips. That we can do that with the reef sharks and with the Nur sharks, either at East Bay, Long Key, or Grand Turk.
Interesting. Yeah, the bulls used to get kind of cantankerous. All the dive masters would carry bullies, shark billies.
Yeah, I didn't see a bull yet, but that would be amazing. Mm-hmm. That would be a great experience too.
Well, great. Well, anyone, I cannot, obviously it's been a long, long time since I was there, but it still seems to be a magical place, and I hope to get down to see you.
No, I can imagine how it was in that moment. If right now I really enjoyed it, and it's still beautiful after almost 50 years, no? I can imagine that in that moment was something unbelievable.
Right. There are also many stories that aren't fit for public dispersion, but we'll talk about them over the bar.
Alex has some experiences with when the Coast Guard place was actually in its heyday.
Oh yeah, yeah. The coasties were still, the Loran station was still there, and they actually helped build out the dive operation as well. But the island was pretty much on the cocaine transport route of those days as well. So there are lots of stories related to other nefarious issues. So it was a great time. It was a wonderful time in my life.
Yes, and the island is still keeping that style, and of course there is a lot of development going on, but they want to keep it as it is. They don't want to make it as Provo it is. You know, that there is maybe a place where you will have more resorts and restaurants and bars. South Caicos is a more pristine area, and they want to keep it as that. They want to keep the wildness of the island itself. So if we keep it like this, the flamingos will continue hanging around, the donkeys, the iguanas, and all this amazing marine life. So I will say that the island is growing in a way that we can make it sustainable. I will say once we start with this exploration, and reef divers had the idea to buy the property, I start to get very motivated to work with the fishermen, with the community in itself, just to show them and that there is more value keeping that fish alive and that reef healthy than just killing it and selling it. No? Hopefully, many of them understand the idea, and day to day they are working with us. Some of them are amazing captains, amazing free divers. The fishing have been the main industry of South Caicos since the 70s. It's actually the fishing capital of Turks and Caicos, and it's great to see how the leaders of this community are also willing to help and willing to change from industry. I would say that maybe the fishing industry will be not that sustainable in this area, but the tourism industry could be. And they can see that their lifestyle will also be better if they start to take care of the reef, if they start to take care of the fish. And it's something that is working very well for everyone.
Thank you, Mateo. And Andy, I've got a question from you asking how family friendly the resort is. Personally, so far right now, I didn't see anything necessarily set up for kids. There wasn't a kids club or anything like that. However, they, with their renovations or their additions, they are definitely keeping kids in mind. We mentioned a second pool. They're talking about maybe even a third one. There'll be a family pool, there'll be an adults only pool, and then there'll be the main pool. When I was there, they already have high chairs, cribs. We had one family in the pool and they had a little girl and she was being served kiddie cocktails and things like that at the pool bar along with the rest of us. So they definitely welcome and embrace families. I just wouldn't say compared to an all-inclusive that has a kids club and things like that. Right now, there's no amenities per se for children. Mateo, did you have anything to add to that?
Well, what we have in our side at the East Bay is actually that the only property all along the bay is the resort. So we have a really large and beautiful beach. And as you say, the water is super, super shallow. Actually, the deepest area from the beach to the breakers will be something around 8 feet of water. In low tide, you can actually go walking from the beach to the breakers. So before reef divers, both the resort used to work with a lot of families, and we used to do, and we have the plan to continue doing this, different activities for the families and the kids at the beach. We have also a few snorkel areas at the bay in itself, of super shallow water, 5 feet of water, where it's not weird to see baby sharks, like 2 feet, baby sharks or baby green turtles. Actually, that bay used to be a nest place, and still day to day you can see these baby ones just hanging around. So it is a nice and safe place to snorkel and to kayak and to swimming with the kids. The bay in itself doesn't have current, or as I would say, there is not current at all in most of the diving along East Caicos, South Caicos, and Grand Turk. The current will be a tide current, and it's not that strong. It's something very, very, very slow. So kids can get in the water and be very safe. Also, the wind will be always blowing from east, so it will be coming to the shore. No, so if you are doing kayaking, for example, and you get tired, you just stop of paddling, and the wind will bring you back to the resort. A very, very easy and safe way to enjoy in that bay.
Does that help, Andy? I don't think we have him on the mic. Suze, you have a question and you're on.
I do have a question. Great presentation. Mateo, what an interesting life you've had to be able to be an explorer. I always really enjoy when I travel, kind of understanding a little bit of the island lore, you know, like the stories of, you know, the native people, or like I was in Mexico one time and they said something about, if you ever see this plant, you know, don't ever pick it and eat it. And I don't remember the name of it. It was on Isla Mujeres. And they said, you have to ask the plant's permission before you eat it. So I just kind of like stories like that. And I like to kind of feel like a resonance with where I'm going. Have you heard anything about that? Do you have any stories?
Well, it's a fisherman town, so you can imagine the amount of stories that you will hear around. Fishermen like to tell the stories, and this island have been on the maps, or they claim to be the first island where Columbus landed in his first voyage to the America. It makes sense because it has the biggest natural harbor in the area. It's a very safe place where you can get inside with sailboats and find a protection from weather. But Columbus didn't manifest for that, and there is I would say 10 different more islands all around the Caribbean that are also claiming the same. But for sure, Ponce de Leon landed in Grand Turk like in the 1612. So since that, these islands, this archipelago, have been on the maps. Along the 16 to the 1700s, there were a lot of piracy on this area. So there is a lot of stories related with that, of people finding things, and also stories about these treasures of the pirates that nobody found yet. Let's say Calico Jack, that is a very famous pirate in the area. He used to be around this archipelago, and his last words was like, put off the guy that find my gold or my treasure, because they will not have a boat big enough to lift it. And still day to day, people is looking for it. Nobody found it. He actually is told one of the biggest treasures of the history, a Spanish galleon, because that he died. But he hid the treasure so well that nobody found it still today. So there is a lot of different stories related with piracy and related with fishing that makes this archipelago and South Caicos a magical place just to share a drink with the locals and hearing all these kind of stories that sometimes seems like fantasy, but they are real.
That sounds like a marketing phrase, like find your treasure in South
Yes.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure.
Matthew Ramos, you're on.
Hi. Another question is, I was just curious as to know what type of medical facilities are at the resort and what are they capable of handling?
Well, at the resort, as reef divers have a large number of instructors. Right now we have, I would say, 10, 15, 13 dive instructors, all of them, of course, also EFR instructors. So we are also training all the rest of the staff, from beach boys to captains to people at the restaurant, and everyone in CPR, first and secondary care, just to be the ones that are reacting first. Also, very close to the resort, we have the clinic of South Caicos. Over there, they have an ambulance that will be at the resort in less than 5 minutes. It's actually down at the hill. So when we call them, you cut the call and the ambulance is right there in your door. For more kind of serious things, we have two options. One will be Grand Turk, or the other one will be Provo. Provo is, I would say, maybe the best option for more kind of critical things. Usually, if you need to evacuate somebody, we can do it in a small airplane. So they will be in Provo in 25 minutes.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Yes, but most of the times, if there is some things that are not that serious or complicated, the clinic of South Caicos will take care of that. We are in contact all the time with the doctor. He is a very good friend of us, and he likes us to be always around. So many times sometimes he spend more time at the resort than in the clinic itself. That is something that works very well for us.
Great. Awesome. Thank you again.
My pleasure.
Just kind of cover that a little bit more fully. Right now, the only chamber is on Provo. There's not one on South Caicos. That may change as time goes on, but currently the closest chamber is Provo. But there's two small inter-Caribbean airlines that serve, as I mentioned before, to get from Provo to South Caicos, and one of those is actually also stands by on call as an airlift in the emergencies, as Mateo mentioned. They actually are also available 24/7 to be chartered for airlift in an emergency.
Great. That's awesome too.
Does anybody else have any more questions or comments this evening? All right, I think we've answered everybody's questions, hopefully. If anybody thinks of anything else afterwards, after we hang up this evening, you can always email us at info@deepblueadventures.com. We will have this recording also available on our YouTube channel. Just give us a few days to get that all rendered and uploaded. But we will have this on our YouTube channel if you want to watch any of that again at a later date or share that with anybody. So I want to thank everybody so much for coming. I really appreciate your time and joining us this evening. And we look forward to sharing this with you soon. And Mateo, thank you also. I know it's been a very long day for you, or you work long hours as it is. So I really, really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you for